Fusion events are a deterministic way of getting really powerful champions, sometimes, in an easy manner, if you prepare accordingly for it, right? So today we're going to be checking out what you need to be taking in mind in order to prepare for a fusion event, which is going to be coming every other month, actually every month pretty much, and so that you are able to really easily be able to get that champion for yourself without really missing out on the opportunity. So let's go. Before we do any of that, please go ahead and check it out if you want to be enjoying massive bonuses that can go from extra 10% of any amount of money you're spending all the way up to extra 35% of that much money. You get the bonuses, and then once you do have it, you're going to be able to use it to buy the things for you without actually using your real money. It's really damn simple. It's just more value for your money. We'll talk more about this at the end of the video. For now, let's go. Okay, first of all, what do you need to keep in mind when getting into a fusion event? You're going to need to participate in a lot of in-game events like dungeon divers and fusion events and stuff like that. So we're going to need some resources that we prepared beforehand, so when we get there, we are able to complete them easily without spending any real money, right? So first of all, let's take a look at the resources right here. We're going to be wanting to get at least 25 million silver before the actual fusion event starts, so we can actually do the gear enhancement events, right? We're gonna need all of that to upgrade the gear to tier 16 or whatever and get the events completed so we can get all the shards from those events, right? Next up, we're gonna need to get at least about 1,000 gems, something like that, since we're going to be using those for the energy refills, right? We're going to be using a lot of energy for some dungeon events in particular, like dungeon clears, like, I don't know, Fire Knight and whatnot, or just dungeon divers in particular. So if that is the case, you will need to be having at least that much gems in order to buy the energy refills. You can offset that if you save up a lot of energy refills, by the way, already in your inbox, which you can do over a couple days, and then just have a lot of that so that you can use it instead of your gems to just get more and more and more energy, right? But if you are going to be doing that in the way of gems, it's going to be just about 1,000 and you should be good enough. If you want to join my team in Raid Shadow Legends, click the link in the description to get a free Narma as well as Anax, Uugo, and Mausoleum Mage as you progress through the game. Here's what you need to do. First of all, log out of Plarium Play on PC and uninstall. Then click the link in the description and register a brand new email. Launch Raid and complete the tutorial, and then go to your inbox and claim your first champ. Don't miss out on your chance to get a fresh start in Raid with a free Narma and 3 epic champs. Click on my link right now. Now, regarding shards for events like the Summon Rush, you're gonna need about 5 to 6 sacred shards. You can offset that to only 5 if there is, I don't know, like a 2x, or you can just put in some about 500 mystery shards. That way you can offset the lack of any more sacred shards. About between 5 and 6 sacred shards should get you through the minimum requirements to get the whole thing on the event. Now, for champion chasing and stuff like that, you are going to be wanting between 70 and 80 ancient shards, something like that. You can also, and much rather and better, do so with void shards. Around 20 void shards will do. But if there is about a 2x, for example, a double chance of pulling better champions, I don't know, like legendary champions, on the ancient shards, you can get away by like having between 40 and 45 ancient shards, right? So those amounts approximately is what you want to be having in your account before the fusion event starts. Now, we also need to consider that in some fusion events, you actually do need to go ahead and upgrade and fuse up all the champions you're going to be needing to actually get the champion for that event. So picture that you're going to be getting a bunch of rare champions or epic champions in like the last fusion event we got through, like actually fusing champions. You will need to have the required resources to level up those champions and getting fully ascended, right? Ascending here is kind of going to be the bottleneck, right? And what do we need for ascending? We need a lot of potions. So when it comes to potions, the way to prepare for any type of fusion, no matter the affinity of whatever you need to be fusing up, it's by getting the required and the following amount of each type of potion. So you will be wanting about 160 of the lesser quality or type potions, so you can then like fuse them up if you need to the higher tiers, and also obviously you're gonna need them for the lesser tiers of the Ascension. Then it's gonna be about 144 of the medium tier potions of every single kind. That way you never have to go into actually farming the potions at the time that the fusion event starts. And then 24 of the higher tier ones, which will be a little bit hard if you are just getting started in the game and you are not really able to farm the higher stages of any potion keep, but by following these numbers, you will be safe to fuse the required champions for any fusion event. If you already have them, good, you're good to go. You're not gonna need to spend any energy during the fusion event to actually go back to the potion keeps. Otherwise, well, that's what you're gonna need to do exactly. And a final tip before actually going into checking what the calendar for an actual fusion event would look like and what the chaining of the events would amount to. I think, I guess what I would say is just to go into the market here and just buy any mystery shards. That's a very easy way of actually just saving up a massive amount. Of course, if you get any of the blue shards, go ahead and buy them. I would also always be doing that anyways, but a way of actually being able to amount to getting what I was mentioning before, like a 500 mystery shards, even though they give like almost no points, they will amount to a very meaningful amount if you just are able to gather them, right? They're really cheap, just get them from the market. Of course, if you're farming the campaign, you're going to be drowning or like having so many of those anyways. Get it done, buy them, and just you will be safe when the time comes. Right, so let's now take a look at a real fusion event right here. We got Lysanthier Beastbane, which we had happen quite a little while ago, as you can see over here, April 7th to April 23rd, right? This is the schedule for the events where you got the fragments that you needed to fuse up the required epic champions, as you can see down here, that then turned into the actual legendary champion, right? So what's important about this whole thing? First and foremost, we do not have any lower tier like rare champions, right? We don't fuse the rare champions into the epic champions, although that is also an option that can happen, right? So in this case, we only need to be caring about a specific type of potion, which would be the void potion, and there is only 4 of these champions to fuse up, right, and level up and ascend, right? So in that case, the requirements are a little bit less important, right? We're gonna need to only be farming the void keep to be prepared in advance. In that case, well, just if the event calendar is announced in time, you could potentially prepare for it, but otherwise, well, that is just up to the randomness of things, right? That's why you want to be having the potions that we already talked about. Next up, let's look at the overlaps, right? So you might see that, of course, we have a bunch of days over here where different events are going to be happening at the same time. So what you want to be making sure is that you are not going to be wasting your energy, right? First and foremost, energy is going to be one of the most important resources you're going to be having to spend during this time. So you will be having things like, for example, a spider tournament happening early on, which for a couple days here, as you can see, will not be having the Dungeon Divers event happening at the same time. Meaning that if you are going to be doing this spider tournament, you much rather better be doing it whenever the actual Dungeon Divers event starts. At that point, you are going to be double dipping into doing both the events at the same time by using the same amount of energy. So what you want to be doing in this case is always wait. Now at this point here where the spider tournament is ending, the Fire Knight tournament is starting, so we're good to go. We're just good to keep on going here, right? Next up, the champion training events. They're going to be a big bottleneck because they're usually going to be lining up together with other tournaments. For example, over here, the Spider tournament is happening during the Dungeon Divers event as well as during the champion training event. Now, what happens here is that while you are doing the Spider tournament, you are likely not going to be doing the campaign because at that point, you are doubling the energy efforts, right? You're going to be spending so many gems during this time to actually be able to do both things at the same time. So the way you can do this is by preparing in time ahead of things and just get a bunch of champions leveled up beforehand, just getting ready to be used as food, getting ready to be just upgraded into higher amount of star champions, right? So what we can do is like get a bunch of 2-star champions and just put the energy into them beforehand, right? So you get them to like level 20, they are already leveled up and they are already good to go, or just like do random campaign farming before the event actually starts. And then by the time that it comes, you are just like ready to go ahead, fuse them up and be already getting the points, right? And you get the points in this event by leveling up the champion first and also by simply getting the champion upgraded, right? So like 3 stars, that would be a little bit of tournament points right there. For example, we have any tournament right now running that is giving me some points over there, right? So that is a way of doing these things just by preparing ahead of time, getting the champions ready so you don't need to put extra stress onto your energy. Now, Summon Rush here is where you want to be dropping your Sacred Shards. It's the ideal point where about 5 to 6 Sacred Shards with the help of a little bit of the Mystery Shards is going to be doing the trick for you. So straight up, just go ahead, dump them over there, and these events should be cleared. In this case, we only had 1 Summon Rush, so again, as we mentioned, about 5 Sacreds, we'll get the whole event done, right? It's done and over. The point where we are going to also be kind of having a little bit of a struggle is going to be the, what we call it, we have the champion training tournaments, we have the champion Actually, there is not in this event. There is not a single champion chase tournament, as you can see. Now let's take a quick look here at the Ishijama, the immovable. In this case, there is indeed a champion chase tournament. That is where you want to be dropping your ancient shards. Now, if there is a 2x event during this time, you will be off, just like as we already mentioned before, between 40, 45. You should be good to go just by summoning a bunch of champions, right? And, well, whether that is the case or not, if it's not the case, there is not a 2x summoning chance event during the champion chase. About 70 to 80 ancient shards will do the trick for you. Now, a good way of also just speeding things up during these types of events is going to be to have some champions that are ready to be obtained, right? So let's go ahead, for example, to our fusions right here. And if we are able to, during the time that the event is happening, unlock any of the fragment fusions, any of the fusions here for like long-term champions that are never really going away from the fusions, like for example Mikage, I could set up a fusion over here, for example, get a bunch of those rare champions that I require to just be ready to fuse up to the epic, and that is a good way of getting, what is it, like 350 points for getting I think it's a legendary, and 250 for getting an epic, just like a new champion. So there we go. That is a really easy way, if you are already able to do ahead of time, of saving up some shards. Whether or not that would be the case for you, well, that is remains to be seen, of course, depends on your account, but it's gonna be taking away some of the strain on the shard requirements for those events in particular. I kind of forgot to mention that it's going to be taking you about 5,000 energy to get through any Dungeon Divers event. That is why it's so damn important that you do try to always be double dipping between a Dungeon Divers event and any other kind of dungeon event, like Dragon Tournament over here and Ice Golem Tournament. If you make sure that that is the case, the energy requirements will be going down considerably. Now, also important to notice, and in this case in particular, let me put the camera up here real quick. Now, you will be able to get away with not doing some of these events during different kinds of fusions events, depending on, well, how the things is set up right here. You can, for example, see some of the statistics right here, where you are going to be able to see that you will be having extra shards depending on whether or not you are participating in certain types of events. Like, for example, you could miss some tournaments where you only get like 5. You could miss something else, like some events where you only get like 5, if you are completing those requirements elsewhere. We, on top of that, have the tournament leaderboards, which are not guaranteed. Of course, you need to be one of the higher top end persons participating in that tournament. I think it's like globally. So you're not really able to count on those. But in any case, if you are able to get to that point, there you have a little bit of leeway and room to play around with being able to skip some tournaments. And also, very importantly, it's going to be taking a hell of a lot of time, right? You're going to need to be sitting there playing, doing those dungeons for a long time. They're going to be running, getting those Dungeon Divers events doing, the tournaments being done, the Classic Arena events being done, the gear upgrades, all that good stuff is going to be taking a lot of time. So make sure that if you really want to be committing to participating in a fusion event, you are putting aside some of the stuff. You are able to be there and actually do the whole thing, because otherwise, if you find yourself in a pinch and you are not able to play for, I don't know, a couple days or whatever, then you will potentially screw up the whole thing, right? So plan that ahead of time, because it's going to be taking time, and these events do run for, what is it, like 2.5 weeks or something like that. It is long. Anyways, guys, that is kind of like a TLDR for preparing for fusions. Every fusion is different and every champion is different. For example, Ishijama was a little bit of a dud. Sometimes you need to be leveling up champions and also using chickens and stuff like that. Some of the times, well, it's just fragments on the store and you don't need to worry about that. Potions are not even relevant. So every fusion event is different. You will need to be seeing whenever the event comes around what that is going to be entailing. Now, before you go, please go ahead and check it out if you haven't done so yet. It's going to be allowing you to get massive bonuses whenever buying things in Raid Shadow Legends when you download the game through Aptoide. As you can see right here, I would be getting, what is it, about between a 10% extra bonus based off of the amount of money that I'm spending, all the way up to an extra 35% of that much money. Now you can increase that bonus by doing things like buying more stuff, and then eventually you can just go ahead and use the bonus that you already got into your Aptoide wallet to buy the thing for you without actually using your real money. That is the real deal about this, is multiplying the value for your money. As you can see right here, you accumulate the balance over there, and then eventually you go ahead and use it, right? It's going to be really damn simple to set up for your Android devices, like your PC, Android emulators like BlueStacks, or your Android phone. It's not going to work on iOS, unfortunately. And if you want to be getting even a bigger bonus, you can go ahead and use my code, which is going to be somewhere here up in the screen, which will be allowing you to get an even bigger bonus, a 5% extra bonus from the get-go forever when you input it into the Aptoide wallet. Just go in there, type in the promo code right here, and that's going to be it, basically an extra 5% bonus from the get-go forever. And you do also help me out a little bit if you go ahead and use it, right? So that's it for the video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think about this video, guys, down below in the comment section. I'll be seeing you on the next one. Like, subscribe, and that's it. Bye-bye. See you.